Well, hello, and welcome once again to the Far From Normal Radio Show. I am your host, Jay Moss, and as always, I've got my brother, Mr. Bud Veno. What's up, Bud?
Yo, and yo, my brother. Mother J Money Moss with Pete, the real deal McNeil, riding alongside as always, Jay. July 31st, Jay, already 2018. Can you believe, Jay? It's August 1st tomorrow. Whew. Another great show lined up, Jay. Excited? Yeah, ready to rock, baby. Great show lined up, Jay, as always. And say hello to Pete, the real deal McNeil. How you doing, brother?
Doing awesome, man. Ready to rock and roll. We have great guests lined up for tonight. And just ready to go at it, man.
Yes, and absolutely. She will be on very, very shortly here. We're still kind of waiting on Ruth. She had some issues with the different time changes, obviously, because she's in a different coast than we are. And I'm in the Central Coast, obviously. Bud and Peter out there on the East Coast. And I believe Ruth may be out there in the Pacific time zone. So it's a little bit odd of a time for us to kind of come on. Really, for some of those people, so I understand that, and a lot of people taking our show even after the fact, so I understand that greatly. Yeah, go ahead, bud.
Yeah, I mean, all in the end, it's you know that.
Yeah.
In the end, we've got to blame Pete. How you hearing? How you reading me?
You're kind of in and out a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. That's all right. It'll link up. It'll link up. This happens a lot in the beginning, so that's all right.
Yeah. It's just internet and connectivity issues, obviously. We got a lot going on in the movement, and we'll kind of talk about that a little bit later on in the evening in the broadcast. But right now, I would probably say the best thing that we can talk about, really, with all actuality, we're usually a very, very chipper show. And we try and keep it upbeat and positive because we know that you guys in the movement go through some of these things and they are tragic. And so we try and liven that spirit up each and every week. But unfortunately for one of us out there is no longer with us, Kimmy Bailey. We'd like to send our condolences out to her family. and all of those out there who are her friends. Keep her and her family lifted up in your prayers. I've been aware or been made aware that Kimmy suffered from a terminal illness, and that had a large portion to do with it, but nothing like what we normally encounter, like with suicides and things like that. But it is still unfortunate news.
Absolutely. My prayers are out to her and the family.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, that being said, obviously we send our thoughts and prayers to all of those out there who are without a loved one, because when we talk about this movement, we talk about being so absolutely tragic, that what people go through and the loss of human life and the suicide prevention that we try and entail throughout this. Honestly, people, you need to understand what we say at the end of our show when we sign off every single week is absolutely imperative for you to understand that we say it especially for that reason, that we say you are important, you are loved, and you are cared about, because honestly, there's a lot of people out there who are reaching out to myself, to Bud, to Pete, and to others. They need to know that they're loved, that they're cared about, that they are important. It's imperative that they know that, because they feel like they're going through the struggle and this battle alone every single week. We get to come on, and when we talk about numbers and numbers for our show, and that we've reached 100,000 people, 100,000 views, that's what we're relating it to, is that we've had 100,000 people watch the show, and that each and every one of them is a particular life that we are so proud that we get to touch each and every week. So yeah, I'll let you guys touch on that as well.
Yeah, it's tough out there.
You guys.
Yeah, I can't really hear you, bud. You're breaking in and out.
Yeah, he's in and out. But yeah, no, for sure, it's a tough situation for everybody. And like I said, I found myself drawn to this movement because going through your ups and downs and the things that you're going through with the children and the courts and the money, and I tell you, the groups that I've been involved with for the past 2 years and change, I realize that you're really not alone. You know what I mean? There are people you can connect with out there. There are people that are pretty much in the same situation as you are, and it's like, I don't want to say it's fortunate but unfortunate, but between the scales of it all, you actually have people that you can relate to and talk to, because people on the outside, they hear your story, they're your close friends, your family, and they listen and stuff like that. But the bottom line is that they're not really going through that. So their outlooks are good because they're a third party onto it and stuff like that, and they might have different takes on everything as opposed to people that we affiliate with. But to affiliate with somebody and talk case law and case file and how to file the motion and what to do and look up attorneys, and there's nothing better than that. And there's always somebody out there that you could relate your case to. We're all one when you look at it. We're all one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. It's ironic. How you guys read me now?
Yeah, much better.
Good.
Much better. Good. It's funny because I had some memories come up, Jay. I'm sure you did too, and you may have 2 feet from last year. The one movement to today. Yeah, it's pretty neat. I couldn't believe it had been that long. I mean, a year since that happened. But you're right, and I got to give a shout out too. I'm going to give a shout out to our friend Jim Proper, who I've known for a few years, and Jim's got court tomorrow, and I'm very fortunate to know Jim on a different level than most. And the funny thing is Jim is an alpha male, and the one thing about Jim, what he feels is what you'll know. And there's a weird draw with Jim and I, and I've told Jay this, Pete, and my wife. There's a safety in Jim. And no matter what anyone thinks of Jim, I love the guy. I've cried with him on the phone and vice versa. There's a safety. We've both been able to say, man, I'm afraid. At times in life when we had big battles coming up. And it's rare. And as I said to my wife tonight, Jim, I absolutely know. There's not many people I know that if we were on the battlefield and there was a bullet coming at me and I didn't see it, he'd jump away. I know that. And I love you, Jim. Good luck tomorrow it's reciprocated, dude. I'd jump too, brother. You're gonna get through this. No pain, no pain, no pain, no fear, right, pal? Again, awesome, dude. Walk through the fire, go get it. And there's so many people, as you said, Jay, that we deal with, and we did this week. It was definitely an emotional week in the sense of the amount of the influx of pain. So I'm so thankful to have you two boys too. We heard from Jessie Weiner. It was nice to wake up and I saw she had said, "Hey, miss you guys," with a picture of her and Neely, and that was awesome to see, Jay. Because we worked with Jessie for over a year. I mean, we always said too, we see Jessie grow so much, but she really did help us to grow too in so many ways because, especially, we had her on, Jay. I remember right away. We're like, we want to have her, co-host. It was a fun ride with her and Neely and seeing them get together. That's awesome. So it was great to see that when I woke up. It really helped because it was I had dealt with a call. Somebody was emotional, as you know, Jay, and so it was really nice. So thanks to those ladies, and they're doing great things in Florida. I know they were going to some Trump rally, and so that I got to kick that. Keep going, ladies. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. Two rowdy young ladies going to a Trump rally.
Yeah, love it. You gotta love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was a good girl.
So, go get them. I know a big shout out also today to Melissa McDonald. I know that her case is going to be delayed another 2 weeks, but if they're delaying it to make sure that they cross every T and dot every I, trust me, that's good news, because if they're looking at the UCC JEA, then you've got some really detailed information that's going to come on, and understand why a lot of these judges will take more time is because honestly, they know that no matter what they do, and especially if they rule against DCF or CPS, there's going to be an appeal. And so they want to make sure that they cross their T's and dot their I's and everything else, because a judge higher up is going to be looking at this and making sure that they followed everything. And they sure don't want to get the case remanded back to the court. So they're going to be doing something awesome here. I mean, they already delayed it 2 weeks to begin with to study the UCC JEA. So obviously that's going to be good news. In about 2 weeks, we're going to hear some amazing news, and we'll be hearing Rev It Up very, very, very quickly.
Yeah, guys. And also, we give a shout out. I know Neil Shelton's doing great things out there. Give a shout out to our brother Neil. Love Neil out there, and I got to thank him too for those awesome airplane videos and things that he put, and all the pictures of Alaska. I always cherish those. It's pretty cool to see those things that he's doing and all the work he's doing. He's a happy guy. So shout out to Mayberry and Mr. Shelton. And it's great to see all the people coming together. Again, I know that Joyce the Voice has some new music she shared, and it's great to see all that stuff. It's all coming together. Also, we hopefully will have Mr. Mark Ludwig coming on in the second half for an update. We did reach out to Mr. Ludwig, and he responded so graciously and said, hopefully I'll be able to call in during the second half while he's on the road. So I said, well, Mark, we love Mark. He's just such an awesome dude. And on a selfish level, he brings a lot of joy to the show too. He's just a bubbly guy, good-natured guy.
Upbeat. So. I love it.
Right, exactly. He's excited about his ramen noodles. He's just thankful. He's one of those guys, though, too, emotionally. I know Mark well enough. I'm very grateful to help out with the New Hampshire Americans People Share Parenting section of his national group, Americans People Share Parenting. And so getting to know him, too, as I said, it's very genuine. And he puts his heart into it. And I know emotionally he's been down there, too, like a lot of us have. And overcome and learned from, because that's, again, give a shout out to Nancy Bard out there and Sharon Novak, who I had conversations with. There's no such thing as regrets, right, guys? It's all experiences that shape us, make us, or break us. So if you can look at things like that and say, hey, this isn't necessarily an end. It's just like relationships in the way society is with marriage, right? There's always going to be someone that's bad, someone that did wrong. Right. That broke. It's just like experience in life. You don't have to look at it as, oh my God, even if you're terminated from a job somewhere, or it's whatever it is, any relationship, it doesn't have to be anything wrong with you. You know what you face.
Right.
Sometimes it's just you got to go with the flow and know it was all about growth.
Right.
So no matter what, if you can take the situation, it's all about what did I learn from this, as opposed to what did I lose.
Yeah.
You're good.
I always say things happen for a reason. And, you know, that's why, listen, I don't win every court battle. Nobody does, you know. And if you feel that it's a loss, turn that around into a win, because that means that maybe the next time you go in, you do it different. You know what I mean? And there's always a way to spin that around, you know. And I always say that there are no losses. The only people who really lose are the children. But like if you come out of court, and I've come out of court like that plenty of times, and they turn around, and I'm like, oh, I didn't get this, oh, I didn't get that. You know what? There's always a next time, and you realize why you didn't get those things, and you build, and then you're gonna get them next time. You know, and then never take it like that. Everybody, you have to, in such a down state thing, like, you know, like you always have to lift up. You always have to think positive, you know. And I learned a lot of that from Bud, you know, and I learned a lot of that from other people. And you surround yourself with that. And I always preach that, and I practice it. And let me tell you something. My life has changed as far as coming in and out of court. I still leave smiling, no matter what, because I know I'm doing everything I can for my child and the best interest of it. So, I mean,
and Pete, what do we always say? And I wrote in those notes what we say. I'm like, Pete, and Jay knows too some of it. He's been involved with Jay. Pete, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what that paper outcome is. You did it, buddy. You did it for the right reasons, man. You're doing it for the right reasons. And so there's purity in that, and there's a peace in that.
That's exactly true here.
And
so,
yeah,
dude.
Yeah, I'm not sure who we have on here, Carla.
I'm not sure either, but I'll say this.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll quickly, while you're getting that figured out, Jay. Still with me?
Yeah, okay. I'm still with you. It's
for the people out there, I remember Jay. You still got me?
Yeah. Goes in and out.
Yeah, it's for some reason it keeps going in and out on you. I'm not sure why.
Well, that's I'll reset it. Go ahead and take it over, Pete.
well, I know Jay from that.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, I mean, we've gone through this so much. I mean, I've seen so many people here go through these things, and I think the other thing that we really want to mention on the show is the unfortunate thing, and we kind of have to get to this, unfortunately, but it is what it is. And we have to say the fact that there are a lot of people out there who need help with their cases. I think that you need to be very careful.
Good topic.
And very mindful of the fact of who you're giving your information to and what their actual credentials are. And that's the biggest thing that you need to know is if someone claims to be something, check that out. Make sure before you ever send them anything, check out maybe some of their past history. You can find that case law very easily. It's out there on Google. A lot of the times it's out there on Case Law. It's out there on Law Finder. There's all kinds of different programs out there that you can find their case or cases that they have worked on in which they claim to do that. So be very mindful of that and understanding to the fact of you're here to protect yourself and your children and your situation first. And you need to get those things accomplished first. And then down the road, now you can start helping other people. Yep.
Yeah, it's
how you reading me now? Better?
Yeah.
We got you there. Good.
Quickly, good. If you guys can read me, I want to quickly say this. But just go back to what you were saying before, Pete, in terms of experiences and things like that. I remember, this is a very genuine, candid story. When my ex-wife and I had split, I remember sitting in my kitchen, and I was very in love with her family, especially. We were very young. I remember sitting in my kitchen and having my head in my hands and crying horribly and thinking, wow, this is the worst day of my life. I've lost everything. And looking back, and I say this very genuinely, I would hug my ex-wife now if I ever saw her and say, thank you so much for doing something that actually changed my life for the better. It was, at the time, it seemed horrible, but if I didn't go through that, and if she didn't do that, I wouldn't have my wife now, my best friend of a dozen years, my 2 boys. And honestly, so if you look at things again, how can I grow from it? And what I did back then is said, what's wrong with me? And there was nothing wrong with me. And that doesn't mean there was anything wrong with her either. Mm-hmm. We were young, and things, sometimes it just happens. And she actually had the courage to do what I never would have done at the time. I'd be unhappy and miserable, and I wouldn't have the life I have. I wouldn't know you guys. I wouldn't know anyone that I've met in this movement. I wouldn't have either son. I am thankful for every tear that I cried. So if you can look at it like that, even in the moment, and say, okay, this is only going to help me. I'm going to look back on this. So the people out there, and I've said it to people that have been right on the brink, I promise you, my friend, brother or sister, we're going to be talking about this. If you can get through this fire, and we're going to be laughing about it, and you're going to say, wow, it did make me stronger. And you can humanize it like that and personalize it with people, because we've been there. I felt the pain, and I've come through on the other side. I'm so grateful. So that's why I tell people, stick it out. This pain is what's going to lead you to that paradise. And again, Pete, a lot of it is what you said, too, peace of mind. We laugh on the way out, not in a cocky or arrogant way, but in a self-assured way that, hey, I love this life. I'm thankful for it. I love myself, and I'm doing this out of love. And we always try to balance ourselves, even as a show. Remember why we're doing it. Because again, even off the air, we've said, Jay, of course, that dopamine, that rush of knowing that people are watching when we see the numbers, of course it feels great, but that's not what drives us. We say that's awesome. As I say too, that's just gravy on the potatoes or frosting on the cake. It's awesome. But when Jay and I started, my wife and his girlfriend were who was listening. And it didn't matter. And it doesn't now, after almost 2 years later, because even if it's one person, and as I said to Jim tonight and the boys tonight, you 2 boys, and I said to my wife, I'm not feeling that great, and I love my wife. She said, once that light comes on, you're gonna be fine. Under the weather, just a summertime cold. But and Jim said that too. Jim said, I know you, bud. When that light comes on, and I said, you know what, Jim? And it was funny, my wife. It was funny because I said, not to make myself self-important, but what if that one person out there does see it and saves them from pulling that trigger? And she goes, yeah. She goes, that's right, hon. Don't be so selfish. Don't be so selfish. I said, no, you're right, baby. You're right. I said, that's right. If you look like that, like I'm so thankful that I have a lot of people right now who don't even have a home. They're watching from a cell phone, from a car. And I know there are, and I've been there. So you can get here, and it's all about perception and reaction, and you're going to get there. Keep plugging, guys.
Yeah, that's absolutely the fact that you just got to keep plugging away at this thing. I mean, it's a monster, and understand when we relate this, and I think Yahya McClain used this word very, very vividly, that this is a war, and it absolutely is. And you got to understand that when you're in a war, you may lose some battles. But the imperative thing is that you stick in, because if you keep coming back at them and you are the biggest thorn in their side, they don't want to see you after a while, and you win the war. That's the imperative thing. You win the war, because ultimately it's these children who are affected. You're fighting this battle so that they don't have to fight it. And really, you're not fighting this battle against your ex. You need to stop that. If you're doing that, and you keep saying this over and over, my ex, your ex couldn't do anything that the court wouldn't allow them to do. You've got to look at it that way. The courts are allowing them to do what they're doing, and that's why they're doing it, is because they keep thinking they can get away with that, because it's almost encouraged by their attorney to do this particular point of view. So
there goes those billable hours. They just love to, hey, throw this out there. You know what? Go file for false DV. Go file for this, and and then you know what? Oh, give me all those emails. You know what? Oh, give me the last 2 years worth of emails. And here goes your response. More billable hours, 4, 5, 8, 10,000. And if people don't realize that that's what if you're not smart enough to outsmart your attorney as far as monitoring your money and what information you're giving and receiving, then that's on you. You know, that's on you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Pete, I believe it was either you or Jay talked about Jay just did about not making it about your ex.
Right.
As a matter of fact, Jay and I have said before, we recommend not even referring to the person as your ex. It's your child's parent or their mother, their father. Again, because you got to get that out of your mind. And again, I got to give a shout out to Phyllis the Shop, my mother-in-law out there, Allison's mother. I love her. We had a great conversation. I had a deep one like that with her in a while. But we talked about ego, and we've talked about that on the show before. And a lot of people look at the word ego and think exactly what a lot of us think it is about. But it's all emotions. Is our ego what drives us? Our jealousy, our whatever it is, rage, all those things. And when you personalize, getting back to what Jay said, and you make it about your child's parent, you've already lost. Yep. Because you're already stuck emotionally. So when you go into court, it doesn't matter. You're never going to be satisfied with that. And if you can't break away, you're never going to be able to move on. Yep. And what I always say to people is quite literally, are you ever going to be sleeping next to the person again? Do you really want to? Or is it because you're insecure and you think there must be something wrong with you because you're not with them anymore? So that's why you're trying to prove to everybody that they're the awful person and you're the saint. It's bullshit. It takes two. And again, it doesn't always have to be someone who's in the wrong. We grow, folks, and we learn. And do we fuck up? Absolutely. But if you're smart, that's how you learn. And that's how you do it. So if you can break, again, that personal attachment again and make it honestly obviously about the child, but it's business. When you go in there, that's why you don't lose. And again, business in the sense of you take it on the chin, proverbially or whatever, and these people don't think you're going to get up and you keep coming. Not only are you going to prove to them, but you're going to prove to you, wow, I didn't think I could take it, and I just did. Yeah. And even if your jaw's hanging off, boys, you're still going forward. Let him hit it again. I need a reconstructive surgery. I need to get my teeth fixed anyway. I haven't broken enough bones. Break the rest of it. Yep.
I had a post like that, something like that up the other day. I said, sometimes I like to just sit back and imagine, in the middle of me huffing and puffing with all my cases and stacking files and all. I say sometimes I like to sit back just to cure my brain a little bit and just say, you know what? What if I was able to get along with my son's mother? To think about how good that would be for him. All that money would be saved. He would be at the best of everything, and that's what keeps me going because I still hope and pray for that piece. I do. I hope at some point that can actually happen.
On a very Jay and I have talked about this too. The law of attraction, whatever you want to call it. We live this what we see. You see, by Pete doing that and putting that positive energy out there, it's not just a fantasy. This could happen. And you keep putting that love out there, that genuine fantasize. And I'm telling you, we live what's here. And if you constantly tell yourself and you make it a battle, you're never going to, you have to stop sometimes. Even I have and said, am I even allowing the person, because I'm so used to confrontation, to speak? Am I listening? Right. And you got to do that to get through for the children. Okay?
Exactly here. And it looks like we've just been joined by our first guest here, Ruth Nicols. Ruth, how are you doing this evening?
Fine. Thank you very much for having me. This is very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a little bit different because it's on a video format. So Ruth was having a little bit of problems getting in here, but but we got her on finally here. So thank you so much for coming on. I'm sure my co-host would like to thank you as well.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, Ruth, thank you so much. And I feel a little starstruck because I've seen you and your posts for so long. Actually, you're one of the ones that I watch all your stuff and I kind of just don't say anything. And I'm like, wow, she's right here. So thank you so much. Your work is amazing. And Pete and I said, and Jay during the pre-show, Pete said, we've got some experience in this, so this is going to be great. And I said, as unfortunate as it is, we have that kinship, and I guess that's something we're trying to make sure at some point of us do. You know, so thank you for coming on and joining us, taking the time. It truly.
Thank you. It's very flattering.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Ruth, you are an author, and you have really worked directly with 50-50 custody. You've worked directly with parental alienation factors. What are some of the biggest factors that you see in parental alienation that are going around that maybe the parental alienator themselves may not be aware that they're actually doing?
I mean, as far as the parent-child relationship goes?
Yes.
I think, wait, I don't understand the question. Like,
Okay.
Your experience here with how to handle that?
Well, I think that sometimes there's factors involved, like maybe a parent is doing something or saying something to a child, or directing in a specific way that maybe that the alienator doesn't know that they're actually doing, but they're doing it, and that's causing the rift to start and happen between the child and the other parent.
Right. Okay. So what I'm thinking is it can be so simple as saying, you know, when the parent calls that the child, that they say the child's not home. It can be, you know, something more intense where they're actually slamming the parent. They're saying bad things about them. And there's just a variety of ways that they can do that. I think part of it is trying to reach, you know, the parent that's doing that, and that making any kind of a disparaging comment about the child's parent is going to be harmful. I mean, we're not, you know, the divorce is between the parents and about the child. That's one of the mottos of my site. So I think that's really important for the parents to try and differentiate that, but you have a lot of hurtful feelings. Divorce and custody are emotionally charged events at the get-go. So it's just really hard, you know, to try and maintain a sense of equilibrium. But it's like, I think part of it is, you're right, reaching the parent and trying to explain that any kind of a disparaging comment is going to be harmful to the child, that is not their issue, that yes, you know, whatever happened during the divorce, but it's like, it's still important for you to build up the parent, even if they're not that great of a parent. It's still important to build them up because they are still the child's parent. Right. And that's going to change. I mean, that's the key point, that divorce is between the parents, and the divorce does not occur between the child and the parent. It's a parental issue. So I think it's kind of separating the issues. Right. So, and part of that's education, part of it, they have to be receptive, and it's just a whole host of things that contribute to that.
Yes, I think that's absolutely true, and it's imperative that really people need to understand, if you're an alienator out there, we're not trying to single you out as being this bad, obnoxious monster of a person. It could be something as simple as you maybe saying, or maybe trying to relate to your child, like maybe you're too busy at that particular time to make that phone call to dad or mom or whoever it is. But it could be that you may say something like, oh, they don't have time for you right now. They have other things in their lives. And, you know, and that might come off in a very negative, condescending way to the child that makes them feel unimportant or unloved.
Well, it's demeaning, right? It's demeaning to the child, because the parent, they're part of that parent also. Right. And that's just a lot of, you know, that's really difficult. The child should not have to negotiate the parental relationship. Mm-hmm. And that's part of what the issue is, that, you know, the child doesn't have they don't have the thought processes to try and figure out, like, oh, well, she's just really upset, and that's why she's saying that, or he's upset, and, you know, she didn't do this, that's why he's upset with her. It's more serious than that. It's, you know, it goes deeper, and that they have that, it's like layers and layers, that it's really difficult for the child to, you know, how do they, you know, ascertain, they're trying to understand how relationships work, and that makes it really confusing for them.
Yeah.
Right. And Ruth, if you can read me okay, guys. Ruth, mm-hmm. One of the things that you focus on, I'm glad you do, again, when I read all your posts at 6 a.m. Out of the bag, is you talk about the long-term adverse effects. Mm-hmm. And it's not just, it all incorporates. Mm-hmm. And I've read a lot of your work in terms of the damage overall, in terms of, you mentioned relationships. Mm-hmm. Children are learning. Again, we've talked about how children do what they see, not what they're told necessarily.
Right.
So
Exactly.
they're learning, as you said, and they're learning from what they see on how to conduct themselves. So when they start relationships, whether it's friendships, because it bleeds over into that too, how they deal with friends, other family members, they learn toxicity from the start, and they learn a very negative way to be. So we want our children to emulate us and be proud if we look back and say, yes, I'm proud of the things that I said. And I know for me, Ruth, a lot of times, even when I say things that I shouldn't have said, I'll stop myself right there with my boys and say, hey, I should have never said that.
Right.
If it's something, that was absolutely wrong. It was, so again, we talked, as I said, the long-term effects. If you want to kind of discuss that a little, maybe for the folks that don't know, Ruth, some of the other things that this, alienation, things will damage in children long-term.
Well, that's a really great question. You made some really good comments. And I think that's an excellent point that you made, that you apologize when you do make that, because kids do understand when you make mistakes, and to acknowledge that. I think the long-term effects, I mean, the research is very consistent that, children that are, victims or not victims, well, they're involved in parental conflict, but they're observing parental conflict, they do worse. They have academic problems, they have social problems, they're more likely to be juvenile delinquents. And part of that is that their sense of security is threatened. And it's probably, they're trying to establish who they are, yet they've got all this parental conflict going on. So it's really difficult for them. I've got some really great graphs that's going to be coming out soon, and it really delineates how, the trickle down effect of when the parents do this. And then now we're finding that, the relationship, that they don't know how relationship works. So that's kind of hard too. So that, if you have the attachment disorder, if you have a young child, it's just the whole thing. I mean, I don't know if I can really explain it in like 3 sentences, but you get the idea that the long-term effect is long-term. It's long-term pervasive. And then if you have pathology, then that just complicates everything even further. And that's very unfortunate, because the child is bringing the pathology.
Right. And Ruth, I think, go ahead, Pete.
No. I thought you froze up. Go ahead.
Okay, what I was going to say is I think a lot of people, too, wonder why a lot of times the child will gravitate toward the quote-unquote confrontational parent. Well, it's easiest. The child will go, it's to keep inner peace and to keep peace all around, because the child will quote-unquote pay if they go against that grain. And a lot of times especially if the child is with the alienating parent the majority of the time, that's survival for the child. That's abuse at its worst. And don't put it on the child. I see that a lot. My child said they hate me. Of course it hurts, but what you've got to do, I said that. I was an alienated child. I've said that to my both my parents. I've said it to a lot of people. You can't personal. That's called defense. That's called protection. That child does not hate you. As we've said, love is innate. Hate isn't. Hate is taught.
Right. And I think I think a lot of the times what is kind of saying is that maybe that anger is displaced, and the fact is that maybe they're not angry at you, they're angry at the situation. They are angry at, and they're saying I hate you, but really what they're saying is I hate the situation that I feel like I'm in.
Right, and that's right, exactly. But they don't have the, younger kids, they don't have the verbal skills to identify what they're thinking. Is that you don't see an 8-year-old come in, it's like, oh my gosh, I had a really bad day today. Let's talk about this. And they're going to enact, they act out in behavior. So that's their way of communicating. That's the way that they are. That's to be expected. And the adults have
Ruth, what would you see as some of the children's outlets? I would say any age. I don't know, say approximately 8 to 13. What would be their outlets for suppressing all this? Like, have you seen anything like that or know of anything like that?
Yeah, it's anxiety, depression. You get the suicide in the really serious cases. They had that kid just a few days ago that killed himself. It's a lot of it, they're going to be hooking up with the wrong crowds because they're seeking attention. They want the approval. They don't have, if you have a child that they're going home and it's like nobody's checking on them, nobody's concerned about what they're doing. It's like they're going to be hanging out with people that are going to say yes to them. They're going to want to be with them. So it's kind of they're hanging out with the wrong people. They're not doing as well in school because either one is a secondary gain issue where if they don't do well in school, then, well, guess what? Then both parents are going to be at the school trying to make this thing work. You know, that's happened before, but not, you know, that's not always the case, but they're acting out. It's, you know, school is everything. It's, you know, if they go from having the secure home and you can't even, I mean, how do you explain not that they go from having a secure home that two parents in the home, everything is great. They have this routine and then all of a sudden everything is different. Anybody would react to that. I mean, anybody.
Well, yeah. Ruth, I'm sorry. I think you brought up a really good point. How you reading me, Jay?
Yeah, good.
Good. And Pete brought it up too. With children too, as you said, Ruth, too, there's a lot of adults when they're frustrated that will punch a wall. It's not right. But my point is, adults have a lot more of an understanding than children. The frustration isn't even with children always that it's this or that. They don't even know. That's why they go in and just randomly punch people or do violent things, because they're imploding and they don't even know what it is. They're pulled in every direction. They don't have the wherewithal yet. As Ruth said, the understanding, the skills to be able to understand who's poison, who's not. And as Ruth said, that's a great point. That's why, in terms people don't understand a lot of times gangs and things. When you don't have that stable family, of course you're going to gravitate toward people that say, you know what, I love you. I love you. I'm going to take care of you. And I'm your brother. I'm your sister. I'm going to die for you. And that's why to a lot of these kids, it is an honor to them. And it's like, wow. Well, because you've got to get to that root. You've got to be able to have it. And again, we talk about back to the family structure, Ruth. And again, it's frustration, these school shootings. We see the tie-in, Jay, with the lack of fathers or father figures, people that guide them. Yeah, it's and this is, again, it's all leads in. It all is together in that sense.
It all goes together. I think part of that with the kids or the child that they're having, one parent is telling them one thing and that they love, they trust, they respect, and then you have another parent is telling them something else. It's like, okay, what do they do? Which direction do they go with? And like you said, they're going to take the least resistance. They're going to go with the parent who, it's like, okay, if they don't, then this parent's going to throw a fit. If they don't with this parent, well, this parent's not going to do anything. So, and then they kind of go with the theory that, they love me, I'm just going to not do it. But the other parent, they do, something's going to happen. So then they pay the price. So, I mean, kind of went back to the previous question, but it kind of segues in. So.
Yeah. And I think that you're right. As far as outlets are concerned, you're right. Go ahead, but.
Sorry, Jay. And it's even worse because a lot of times it's both parents at different times that are alienating. So you've got to be the bigger person sometimes to say, as Les Brown says, enough is enough.
Right.
You've got to be the bigger person and see the damage. When you see your child jump when they shouldn't jump, when they're starting to act out, they're doing things that are abnormal for, say, a 9, 10, 11-year-old that know in your heart aren't right. Don't just say, no. Stop and think of them. Because when you're dead, and if you're lucky and your child's still here, that's the legacy you want to leave.
Oh my God.
That's what you want to live. Absolutely not.
I wrote 2 articles on that. One about how the parent should act, and then another one about what legacy do you want to leave your child when you're thinking about, for the divorce intended. I just revamped a website. It was supposed to be out for today, and it's up, but it's not. Whatever, they're having problems with it.
I'm going to check that out.
But it's the whole idea is that, yes, you want to be the bigger person, because the child will remember that. They're going to know that, okay, you're the calm parent. It doesn't matter what happens. I can come back to you. Yes, I'm not there now, but they'll come back to you. And it's like, ironically, when kids have cell phones and they're able to drive and they have carte blanche on their own schedule, guess what? They go back to the other parent. I mean, there's so many cases where the child turns 18, they call that the other parent, that night, that day. I mean, it's just, it is so common. So it's just kind of, they need to they're trying to survive too. And they're kids. It's like, they don't have the skills. They should not have to have the skills.
No.
Right.
They should not have to be negotiating that.
Absolutely. And I say now, lucky enough to been a child of alienation. I say lucky now because of what I do now and the way I was able to spin it into what I do to assist other people. So I do look at it as fortunate in the sense where I was that kid. So I'm lucky enough too to where I can go back there in terms of my heart, and I can feel that massive anxiety of not even knowing how to just be at peace, sit and not know how to, not have confrontation, not know how to, always have to have someone that I'm arguing with. I can't, and there's such inner turmoil with that. And it's so selfish to do to a child. Right. You've gotta, again, we said, Ruth, step back and say, you know what, you gotta look too. And as you said, Ruth, sometimes you really have to equate it like that and say, okay, and it's not meaning just give up and say, I'm not going to see my child until they're 18. But if you really put it in terms, sometimes if your child, hey, wait a minute, it's 2 years, I'll keep going. But either way, kids they do not hate their parent for the most part just because the other parent tells them to.
Right.
It doesn't happen.
Right. They're being led to love, they're being told lies about a parent that they love, that's horrible. I mean, that's so not right. Yeah. That is so not right. And, yes, they pay later they'll be alienating like all the work that Amy J. Baker does with, that they reunite with the other parent, but still, then you have that gap. So yes, the parents without that child, but that just speaks to the fact that shared parenting is the only way to go, and that somehow the family court system needs to change because what's happening is not working. I mean, it all comes back to the same thing. It's all under this big umbrella. So yes. Something needs to change because what is happening is not working. The system doesn't work. The dynamics of everything don't work. So.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with you. And I'm so glad that you kind of mentioned that about share parenting, because honestly, there's a lot of move towards that. Mm-hmm. And looks like we got Pete back. Obviously, I had a call from Junior here, but we definitely are moving towards that because 50-50 custody, I believe, and I've seen the actual scientific studies where there's an actual hormone and chemical within the body called I think it was propofol, is that right? Or maybe a different chemical. But they actually took swab samples, and the stress levels of a child going back and forth does not change in the dynamic of that child one way or the other in that chemical. Doesn't make them more irritable. It does not make them more aggressive. It does not do anything that these courts have been claiming that makes it harder on the child. So I'm glad for those scientific studies. But Ruth, I know that you, being in this field for a very long time, can definitely give us some pointers as far as 50-50 custody. Why is it so great in preference to this one night a week and every other weekend kind of custody that the courts are giving right now?
Right. I think, well, the first part is that the child needs to have a relationship with both parents. I think that's just, you need to bring it back to that every single time. I think with all the work that everybody's doing, the whole idea of the parent not being there, I mean, it's the interaction. It's the day-to-day stuff. You can't parent a child on a weekend, every other weekend. I mean, that just doesn't work. You're not having, the dynamics are different. The relationship is different. They're not going to be opening up to the conversations. So it comes down to the fact that they need to have the exposure to both parents. I mean, both parents bring something different to the table. Males and females are different. That was established years ago. As far as the research goes, there's this commenting on your study. There's another study done when inter-utero, that at 6 months that they know that their parents are fighting, that their levels are higher, cortisol levels are higher. Mm-hmm. Inter-utero, it's like the parental conflict is damaging.
Yes.
Trying to come up with a way to make it work. I mean, that's the hard part, trying to make it work, the shared parenting part. That's why I think it's so important that if we can have it, the 50-50 thing start there and then try and expand, at least that eliminates the part about, okay, well, who's going to get custody when you're going to court? At least start there and try and do that, because the child needs to have a relationship with both parents. They want to have a relationship with both parents.
Yes. Yeah. Right. And I think that's absolutely right. And that's imperative, because I think there are so many people out there who disagree with 50-50 custody because of the fact that they think that it's necessarily a so structured organism that they have to, okay, you get these 2 nights of the week and you get these 2 nights, and then we swap every other weekend, or it's some type of specific schedule. There's hundreds and hundreds of different schedules that will work. It just takes both parents putting their mind to compromise and doing it.
Well, in the mid, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, one of the reasons that some parents need the rigidity is because they can't work together. I mean, that's what that comes down to. It's like, you should be able to be flexible about that, and the parents can't. So then you have to stick to this really strict schedule, that might not work every single week, or you have older kids, it certainly doesn't work. But that's part of the parents working together. It all comes back to that.
Right. Well, I have to say, in a lot of cases that I've seen and stuff like that, that's all stirred up from the actual divorce and when attorneys are involved. And I'm not saying all attorneys are bad, but in general, there's a piece of paper out there, because I've seen it, I've been handed it, and here's what you generally will get. This is what the courts aren't going to deny you. You know what I mean? So right off the bat, you're already down a couple of levels, because either you're going to go for custody or you're not. And if you're not at the time, because maybe the child's an infant and whatever the case may be, in certain situations, right there is already causing that animosity.
At the onset, right? That it levels the playing field.
Right.
It levels, and then you'd have the issues of making sure that the courts follow through with the orders. That that's the other part of it, and that they make sure that happens, that they understand pathology that happens, which is going to be a very long road. But there's just other issues. But yeah, starting out at the 50-50, at least you start here. That levels the for everybody. So then you walk in, it's like, okay, now what? But at least, having that, and then making sure that the judges hold the parents to that, those are the 2 big key issues.
That's a huge issue. I can contest that myself, trust me.
Yeah. Yeah. And how you guys read me?
Yeah, doing pretty good.
Good. Okay, guys. And quickly, I want to say too, and Ruth, I'm sure you'll agree. I say, and I've said Jay and Pete know, to the alienating parent too, looking further ahead, I say to people, don't do this. And I've said it to my oldest son's mother, don't do this for you. Because again, I'm the kid. Both of my parents, and this isn't what was me, are both alive, and I haven't talked to either one in years. And I say, don't do this for you, because you're going to have to face your child in the future. And you don't want that conversation, believe me, because I've had it with my parents in terms of acknowledgement and knowing the deal. And you don't want to be those 2 people who are watching me from afar, and they're not proud of what their actions.
Exactly.
So you don't want to have that conversation. Trust me.
Right.
I say it in a very benevolent way, Ruth.
Right.
Yeah.
That's an excellent point, that you want to be able to look back and like, okay, I was a great parent. I did the best job I could. And that's what every child should have. The parents
right.
Exactly.
But it's like, I think some parents maybe could work harder.
Yes.
We all could, I think. Yeah, we all, it's all every day. It's about learning and growing, sure.
Yeah, and I think that if we had 50-50 custody bills and I'd like to give a shout out there. I believe it was Kentucky, is that right? Am I right? That has 50-50 share parenting finally. So Kentucky, good for you guys. Awesome. You're leading the way, but you're not going to be the last. All right. So, but out there, I mean, if we had some of these 50-50 share parenting bills, do you think that it would make the issue so much easier for parents to come into, say, a outside source that we had that was kind of an intermediary, and I'm not going to use the same terminology as the court because they want to say mediator, and I'm not really fond of that term, because every time I've been to a mediator, they haven't really mediated. But I would say somebody who is some type of a mediator, so to speak, or an intermediate, that would basically help both parents, so when they walk into this person's office, they can say, hey, I may not like you, I might not like what we went through, but our son or our daughter or both, they are who matter. And so I'm going to negotiate with you. I don't like you, but I'm going to negotiate with you so that we can part ways and work as either co-parents or parallel parenting.
Right. To remain centered on the child
Yes.
and issues at hand. Correct. Yeah.
Right.
That's the way it should be. And that's,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that should always be the starting point.
yeah, exactly.
Because
Yes.
then what else is there to argue over? Let's all think about that for a minute. What, cars, houses, and stuff like that? Half the time you give that away anyway.
Mhm.
Think about it. Like, oh, okay, you have 2 cars. One goes to mom, one goes to dad. You know, usually mom, if whoever has the child, they'll get the Caravan. The other one will get the Ford, whatever it is. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like the house, whoever has the, you know, however you want to work it. But that's all monetary. That's all stuff that can be made up. And a lot of us come out of it with nothing and built ourselves back up. But if you start with the children, then what else to really argue? That's why a lot of attorneys, you know, they don't want that because they pushed for the litigation. Well, these are your rights. This is what you can do, and this is what can happen. And that's the problem.
Mhm.
You know, you don't need an instigator. You know, you need somebody who's a problem solver.
Going to work with you. Right.
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 You know, guys, it reminds me of Bruce Lee, right? You guys know I love that man. Too. There's a, I believe it's at the beginning of Enter the Dragon, I believe it is. He's training someone and he's pointing, and the kid looks at his finger and he slaps the kid in his head. He said, "Don't concentrate on the finger; you'll miss all the heavenly glory."
Mhm.
So again, my point to this is, if you don't, all that stuff, as you mentioned, Pete, the monetary stuff, that's emotional tie. A lot of that has nothing to do with the stuff. It's just you're staying connected. Do yourself a favor and disconnect, because if you don't in that way, you can't move on to bigger and better. If you stay stuck, that's awful for you. Don't live like that.
Mhm.
You have to say, as I said, you have to really, as hard as this, look at it in the literal sense and say, am I ever honestly going to be sleeping next to this person again? Do I want to? You know, or is it just some sort of a contest to show who was right and wrong?
Right.
Who was the better person? Who was the deplorable one? Who caused all the problems? I'm so wonderful. We all make mistakes. It takes two. And again, to move on, you got to disconnect like that. Let it go.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah, and definitely, I want to go ahead and end the interview with you, unfortunately, because we've got some other things to attend to here. But obviously, we're going to have you on again because,
you're awesome.
you've got so much stuff that we really need to get out there. Obviously, because there's so much that you're doing in the background that we haven't even touched on yet, and we need to get it out there. But Ruth, in the meantime, where can people go out there and get in contact with you and get involved in what you're doing?
Well, I have several sites. I have a confessional site for parents, a Rate My Family Court site, and then my main site is Shared Parenting Info, the one that should be up, and it's not right now. They're working on that. So and I have several Facebook pages. Do you want me to just give you the list of everything? Because it's like,
Sure.
Okay, so that way you can do that. Because I have some really useful articles that I don't know, some might feel helpful. That might be life altering, perhaps. So, okay, great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we greatly appreciate it. And I know Mary Jane was the very first one who mentioned your name and said, you've got to get Ruth on there. So Mary Jane, thank you. And
yes, thank you, Mary Jane.
Thank you, Ruth. I look forward to talking to you again. I hope you come back on the show because there's so much more I want to ask you.
Okay, perfect. I will for sure. All right.
And in closing, Ruth, for the people out there, as Ruth said, she's got so much useful information, and I implore people, because it's so useful, and she has a plethora of different writings and articles and things that are so useful and empowering. So again, thank you, Ruth, for all you do, and we're excited to have you on again.
Thank you very much. All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Okay.
All right, guys. Ruth Nicols. Awesome first guest.
As I said, Jay, I've been watching her for a long time. One of those fans from afar. One of those ones Ruth is one of those ones in the morning I can always count on. posts from her, usually at the same time in the morning as when she posts. So I'm like, oh, okay, let's see what she has on today, because it's always something usually that I can go, oh, okay, wow, yeah, and again, try and use that and help other people too with it, and steer people toward that to help them.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that I think we did have Mark on for a while here. I'm not sure if he's kind of fallen off here. Hopefully he'll call back in.
Well, Mark,
unfortunately, we just ran into our interview time, so I just wanted to make sure, and then I'm sure he'll be back on here.
Yeah, well, Mark, if I didn't mention, yes, I did at the beginning of the show about Mark being on the road. So I'm quite sure Mark is not the type that just goes, oh, no, he remembers it, and he takes it very seriously. It's for him to get on and get the word out.
Yep.
Because I know for Mark, the way his mind works too is, what if there's that like extra one or two people that could have heard it again like we do, and is affected on one level or another. So, and Mark, again, in a selfish way, and I say, for the people out there, thank you for the people out there in the compliments that we get. And I say, we're not doing anything but clarifying what you already know. And we're selfish too. We all have a need to fill. This is cathartic for me, as well as empowering, I know, for other people and for us. I'm very selfish too. This makes me feel good. So don't think it's all sainthood, because it isn't. We all have a need to fill. And again, on a serious note, again, we're really honored to do it. And we have people like Ruth on, and I've had so many people, and we will in the future. And it's all about having that, again, that one person that one other person can relate to and could possibly change the world, guys. That one person, and it hits them. Everything just comes together for them. They have that epiphany, that moment of enlightenment, that moment of an awakening. And it could be that one person that we have on that affects somebody else, and that changes the whole game. And that's what it's about.
Yeah, that's exactly right here. And I'm going to go ahead and get in right quick here, and hopefully we'll get Mark in right after this, but we're going to go ahead and get right into our...
If not, we will blame Pete.
Yeah. We'll get right in here to our birthdays and calendar of events, and then I'm sure we'll have Mark on very, very shortly here. So we'll roll right into it here. Let's see.
All right, here we go for events this week. Everybody start marking your calendars. August 3rd, Fan Pack, New Jersey, general meeting, 7 p.m. Eastern, 137 U.S. Highway 1 North, New Brunswick, New Jersey. Please see Rafael Franco for more details. August 4th, 218 Midwest Talent and Peace Fest, 6:30 p.m. Central, Coronado Performing Arts Center, 314 North Main Street, Rockford, Illinois, 61101. Hosted by I Am Kid Culture. Please see Patrick Persley for more details, and you can get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com. August 5th, Americans for Equal Shared Parenting, Colorado, Capitals for Kids Tour, Sunday, 6 p.m. in Denver, Colorado. Please see Americans for Equal Shared Parenting.com for more details. August 18th, Saturday, ILLFE Annual Cookout, open to the public, 12 p.m., Bridgeport, Illinois. See Illinois Fathers for Equality for more details. August 18th, Saturday, Save Our Children, supporting DCTF, Reform, New Hampshire, 12 p.m., New Hampshire State House. See Thomas McCarthy for more details. September 12th, Americans for Equal Shared Parenting, Texas Capital for Kids, Austin. Wednesday, 6 p.m. Please see Americans for Equal Share Parenting.com for more details. September 22nd, Parents Against Alienation motorcycle run, Saturday, 11 p.m. Eastern, 400 Carlton Avenue, Central Islip, New York. I might attend that one. I know a couple of bikers over there. September 26th, Capitals for Kids, New Hampshire. Wednesday, 5 p.m., Concord, New Hampshire. Please see Americans for Equal Share Parenting for more details.
All right, brother. Yeah, if you want, I'll go ahead and roll into the birthdays for you. That way we can get right into Mark real quick.
Go for it.
All right, brother. Today we've got Ashley St. Clair, Marita Murphy, Tyron Adams, Alika Cohen, Michael Wilson. We've got Paula Parker, Sarah Maria Stover, Jessica Igo, Tracy Camp, Dean Phillips, Michael Russo, Christine Winiger, and Lynette Rodriguez. Wednesday, we've got Melissa Turner, Josh McDowell, Jared Hicks, James Walsh, James Jefferson, Joseph Kinnick, Kevin Moret. Thursday, we've got Leanne Rhodes, Denise Marhofer, Deborah Madison, Miguel Laffern, Monty Weinstein, Jody Fisher, Matt Jade, Jacqueline McIntosh, Fletcher Long, Trina Thompson. And Friday, we've got Leanne Rhodes, Denise Marhofer, Deborah Madison, Miguel Lafond, Monty Weinstein, I've got that again. I must have read that again. So we got Friday here, Nicholas Driesen, Hank Lefevre, Michael Mazzella, Misty Watkins, Charlotte Manley, Marcus Bates, Chris Johnson, Brian Kim, Leslie Plastid, I believe it is, Tyresa Goldman, Michael Moore. Saturday, we've got Brian Hall, Jill Jones, Vicky Accord, Nicole Enrique, Corey Stoltz. Saturday, we've got MJ Santos, Kenny Fink. Monday, we've got Nicole Holtman, Robin McIlvain, Herb Cohen, Danny Griffin, Karen Neville, Dennis Griffin, Tony Pellegrino, and we've got Amanda Gerard. The Far From Normal radio show is copywritten. Recording and transcription of the broadcast is strictly prohibited without the express written consent of the Far From Normal radio show's staff, host, and board of directors. So thank you very much. Yeah.
Happiest birthdays to everybody out there from the Far From Normal radio show. Make it your day. It's the day that you grace the world with your presence. Jay Moss, the 31st of July, 2018, second half win. Weird. Speaking of grace with presence.
Yes.
Mark Ludwig is joining us, looking awesome and dapper as always.
Yes, Mark, how are you doing this evening?
Doing pretty good. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Good.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, doing very good. I caught the tail end of Ruth Nicols. I tell you what, I think the world of her. She's done a lot behind the scenes for me in Washington, D.C. I'm not as good at research, and there have been times when I've met with legislators in D.C. and gave a lifeline call to Ruth, and she got some information, typed it up in a great format, made me a little presentation folder.
Nice.
She is a team player, just a dynamite lady.
Exactly. And we thank her obviously for what she's doing out there, because in that support structure that you've kind of talked about, what Americans for Equal Share Parenting is, still we need to kind of, it's almost an ebb and flow where you almost have to, yes, Americans for Equal Share Parenting is out there and they're supporting all of these local groups who will be doing all the work, and they're just an oversight to kind of help all of that stuff. But still, we've got to help you, and it's got to come from the ground back up as well, and then back down. It's always a flowing type of atmosphere. So I think it's great that we've got so many people out there who are willing to help you do what you do on a legislative issues out there that are getting things done. But I know, Mark, you said this, you're a very gracious guy. All of those out there that are helping you behind the scenes, all of these groups coming together is something I don't think that in my 10 years of doing this, I've ever seen. Never seen it.
Yeah, I'm really grateful. We've got, like I said, I know I get so much credit and recognition, but there's no way I would be able to do what I do without. And I just think, like I said, Ruth Nicols is a great one. You mentioned the barbecue that Chad Loudermilk's putting on. Another great guy, team player. And I think Chad really illustrates, too, the way we all need to work together. When we're in Illinois, Chad is the quarterback. So it's funny to see the dynamic between Chad and I. When we're at the federal level, Chad is like, okay, Mark, what should I do? What do you need me to do? He's taking a very subservient role. And then I do the reverse for him in Illinois. And because I think so many people, all of us love to be, in leadership roles, but there comes a time when you have to figure out, okay, based on the specific task at hand, you really only can have one leader. So you need to figure out if it's in Illinois, it's going to be Chad Loudermilk. If it's at the federal level, it probably will be me. But so many good people. We've got an event coming up Saturday in Wyoming. Zach Martin, who is really an up-and-comer. This guy is another great team player. Very, very much looking forward to that. And then we've got the event in Colorado that Philly Slim's helping me put on out there. That'll be on Sunday the 5th. And like I say, just so many, and with you guys too. That's one thing. I don't know if you guys mentioned it, but I'll put a plug for you guys on the board of directors. We've been talking about it. It costs money to put the Far From Normal show on in the type of manner that we need to have it done at. And all of us benefit. Every single organization that's out there, every parent who's in the community is going to benefit. The more we can get Far From Normal to grow, we all benefit. So early on, we're trying to get people to sponsor just 1 month. It's $75 a month to help put the Far From Normal radio show on. Melissa, Isaac, and myself, both of us volunteered to be the first two out of the chute to go ahead and put 2 of the months down. But if there's any followers out there that could help out, because guys, this helps every single one of us. If we can all as organizations tap into you guys, it's going to help all of us. So if anybody can help pitch in, get a hold of one of these guys and they can let you know how to get the money to them. But ideally, we need at least 12 people that each pick 1 month a year to say count on it. That part of the expenses is covered every month. So you guys don't have to worry about every month trying to raise money again for that part of it. So like I said, you guys create a huge service for all of us. Huge. And we all need to be locking arms and getting behind you guys and saying, hey, the more your show grows, more it helps all of us. And I love it because people know, set your clocks. Tuesday night, if you want to get a quick run through of what's going on in the country, you're going to get it on Tuesday night. So I applaud you guys for your efforts.
Mark, thank you. Go ahead, Jim. Go ahead, bud.
Thanks. I think we're both tripping over each other because we both are so honored to know you, Mark. And this is very honest. You talked about that ability to be subservient when you need to be. And I think that's so important because I've said to my wife more than once on the level that you do things. You have to have that ability, and I'm so honored to take that back seat in terms of the stuff you do. You have to understand when you need to lead and when you need to follow. And as you said, Mark, you don't always, I know it feels good, and it feels always try and lead and everything else. Mark has the great ability, too, to sit down when he needs to. And the great thing is, too, even within the show, we have the great ability to do that. There's things that Pete is very staunch on that we lean on him for and let him go with, or Jay, that we're all say, hey Jay, we're all kind of go and take the back seat to certain things, and what it all boils down to, Mark, is the end goal. We're high-fiving at the end and the betterment of the quote-unquote movement. I think that's what the key is.
Yeah, I agree. And Mark, I mean, Bud took the words right out of my mouth, man. It's like, it's coming from you that I'm humbled, and I appreciate it. And usually I take things with a grain of salt because this is my passion. This is what I want to do. And, you say that, when things are over and whoever, if you go for your goal and you get your goal, the bottom line is, you know what? I'm still going to be out there. You know, I'm still going to be as passionate. I still want people to get that feeling that I got, you know, when things actually work together and parents can work together. And like I said, coming from you, it's an honor to have that.
And it's pretty humbling.
You warmed this big guy up inside.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think it's important because I'm actually getting ready to meet with one of my mentors right now. And I think it's good for all of us. You know, even a lot of people look up to me and think that I've got so much knowledge. And I obviously I've got a 30-year background. But I'm getting ready to meet with a guy right now that has I look like nothing compared to the things this guy has accomplished from a legislative perspective. And my attitude is, if I want to go from where I am to where I want to be, I've got to get new knowledge, input, and wisdom. And if there's a guy who has a better track record than me, I need to learn from him. So I seek people like this out, and I always offer a pay them too. Usually they turn me down, but usually I just tell them, hey, your knowledge is worth something. So, you know, I'll pay for your dinner. I'll give you $100 for an hour of a consultation. But, you know, what I can learn from this guy over the next hour, it's invaluable. And so many people come into the movement and they mean well. They want to help. But if they don't have the background, sometimes they end up doing more damage than good. So I encourage people to come in with a learning mode early on to say, look, if someone has a better background, whether it's Chad in Illinois, whether it's Jesse West with community events, whether it's you guys with a radio show, whether it's me with legislation, find somebody who's better than you in a particular arena. That doesn't mean they're a better person, but learn from their knowledge. And so, like I said, I'm getting ready to have an hour coaching session right now with a mentor of mine that just blows the doors off anything I've ever done with legislation in the last 30 years to try and find out, okay, based on what you see, Ryan, what can I be doing to improve? What do I need to change? How do I need to, what do I need to do to get better? And he's going to analyze everything that we've been doing, what I've been doing in DC, and then sort of a plan, do, check, adjust. You know, trying to figure out, okay, what have I done? Let's debrief, figure out what do I need to do to make a course correction over the next 30 days.
Right. And that's what it's about, surrounding yourself with the right and the good people.
Absolutely. Pete, go ahead and see what's going on with Jay, if you would. And Mark, I know you have a ton coming up, and I know you have places to be. You're a mover and a shaker. But what, if you would, Mark, what do you have in the very near future? What do you got going on the next couple of days? And Mark, for the people that don't know, said to me behind the scenes, I'd love to come on if people aren't sick of hearing from me. I said, no one's ever sick of hearing from you, Mark. We love you.
I'm sure there's people out there that just can't stand me and they get that guy out of there with his high-pitched voice.
I'm having a hard time keeping up, but I keep watching the video, save the video, go back to the video.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I watch those videos and I just keep thinking, I am such a dork. I would not be watching me.
Well, that's what I love about you, because you go against that grain. And I do the same thing. People, I have a hard time too, honestly. And Pete knows, I get sick of hearing my own voice. It takes me a while. Sometimes I don't even rewatch the shows. But Mark's one of those guys. Like I said, on a selfish level, we love having him on because he's a great guy and. His heart is so in it, Mark. It's always a joy to have you on, Mark. And I know you have so much going on, and you have fun tonight at your at your mentoring session. And again, quickly, what do you got going on besides that in the upcoming future?
Several things. One, got some exciting.
Mark.
Yeah, got some exciting news today. I can't say what organization, but I've always said that two ways to go about it. One is educate, enable, and empower all the people in our community, which we want to try and do. But number two is tap into organizations that already have the lobbying groups, that already know how to do this stuff. And there's organizations in Washington that have several million followers, that have professional lobbyists, that have relationships. And I just got a call this morning. We're going to be, Americans for Equal Shared Parenting is going to actually be a part of a event that one of these, it's a big group. I'll just tell you, their budget is in the tens of millions a year. They've got well over 1 million followers.
Beautiful.
And their main event that they're having, their annual convention in September, will have possibly both the president and vice president at it. And we're actually going to be a part of the event this year. So I'm extremely excited about that. But as far as events coming up, like I said, if anybody's in Wyoming, Zach Martin is putting an event on Saturday night this week. I'll be the keynote speaker, but he's got a great lineup. In Denver, only about an hour and a half or 2 hours away. Sunday night is the Capitals for Kids in Denver. I know I'm going to be up in, Austin, Texas, September 12th. Concord, New Hampshire, Bud Veno territory.
Yes, baby. Concord.
September 26th. And like I said, lots of things going on. I just encourage everybody, if you can support the Capitals for Kids tour, we would really appreciate it. But support any groups. I don't care whose group's out there. If you're in New York, go to that biker rally. If you're in Illinois, go to Chad's barbecue. If you can do it, sponsor a month of Far From Normal. We just need to all support each other. But I do need to get into my meeting, but I really appreciate the socks off you guys. You guys are awesome.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
We love you, brother. We love you, Mark. Stay safe out there and keep doing God's work. We love you, pal. Stay safe, and we'll touch base soon. Thanks for the time, pal.
All right.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we're good to go, Jay.
All right. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate it. All right.
Yeah.
So
we're crazy night. You sure it's not like Friday the 13th or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. You're great now, Jay, though. You're good. We hear you great. You look good. You look refreshed. Would you fall asleep?
no, can you actually hear me? Because I can't even hear myself. It's so weird.
Yeah, we can hear you fine. We can hear you fine.
Yeah. Unfortunately, somebody called me in the middle, and they have a tap. They have a tap phone, so it completely shut down my computer. And so this has been running the whole time without my computer even being on. So
that's good, because the whole time you were gone, Pete and I just stared aimlessly at the camera. We had what I call the Cindy Brady effect without our leader. We kind of I said, Pete, what do we do? He said, just don't move. Don't move until he comes back. And then he came back, and I was even able to exhale. I held my breath the whole time. It's good to have you back, brother. Mark was great, Jay. Just so you know, he gave us a nice update, like he does usually every month now, and he gave us a very nice plug and encouraged people to go out and donate in terms of the expenses for the show and things. And again, it was humbling, Jay, because Mark is someone who's very genuine and someone whose opinion we really respect. So for Mark Ludwig, and he doesn't say things haphazardly, Jay and Pete, and when he actually puts his word there and says, guys, that means a lot, because he knows our hearts, that, he knows who we are as people, and we know him, and it's great. It's so humbling and flattering, Jay.
Yes, it absolutely is. And definitely there are some very good people out here like Mark. We've talked with Mark, and we're going to be, and I can't necessarily name this yet, but there is a very famous judge in the state of Alabama who could be on our show very, very shortly. And when I talk about very, very famous, I'm talking about huge, has been in the news. It's all over. But guess what? The Far From Normal radio show is going to get we are going to get the only interview with this person. So that means NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, they're all going to be coming. Yes, they're all going to be coming to the Far From Normal radio show in order to get footage for that. I can guarantee.
Bring them all on. Bring them all on.
Oh, yes.
And hopefully I don't have a computer meltdown. And,
That's all right. That's right. If you do, Pete and I will do. We didn't just Cindy Brady it and stare at the camera until you're on, and it'll be fine, like it is now. You feel it's like a nice warm family hug. It's like thanks we're all here and we're eating turkey and enjoying each other's company. And what a great show, guys. Ruth Nicols, the first half, and then Mark to wrap it up. And as always, the great thing again about Mark too is there's a comfort in it, because with Mark, it's always if you have people on, as Jay can tell you, and Pete's starting to too in the time that he's been on, it doesn't always matter off the air the way the person is or the connection. It's just like if you have two superstars that are traded to the same hockey team and people just assume. A lot of times it's chemistry. Ruth is, you have some good indications, even though we've never had her on. She's done plenty of work in the media and things like that. So you're pretty assured that she's going to be fine, but some people you don't know. So there's always that. But with Mark, my point is that you always know it's going to be fun and authentic, and you're going to leave feeling great. And we had that with Ruth as well.
Oh yeah, that's definitely right. And I'm just at the time queuing up the final video here, so hopefully it plays correctly. So you never know with some of these strange things, and I get these phone calls sometimes during the actual show. Please, for the love of for the love of God.
Oh God, yeah. We love people, and sometimes they get so excited, Jay.
That's okay.
That they call during the show, and that happened to me before too. And sometimes, and I know Jay well enough that he kind of went, "What the hell?" Look, it totally buckled his. But he's great. See, now this is a great example too of we always anticipate. Now we don't get upset when things happen because we always know something will. Again, it's something will. So we just go with the flow and have fun, and it's great to be able to have that happen. Okay, he's back. It was a great interview with Mark, and we just have a blast and we'll laugh at each other off the show. You know how. It's great.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Honestly, it's wonderful to go through some of these drawing curves anyways. And things may obviously change here in the future where we may have to or be forced to pretty much kind of go to YouTube's format rather than Facebook's eventually, because honestly, when you get to a certain plateau, which I believe it's like 50K viewers, you're probably going to be tapped out, and Facebook is going to suppress it. So
yeah, and also
I foresee that probably going to happen in the future. You know, especially with John Schneider and all of that happening. So.
Well, yeah, that's a good point, Jay. It's about growth. We're trying to, in terms of where the platform where we're going to have, honestly, the easiest time too in terms of exposure and being able to get the message out, and it'll be able to handle the numbers that we'll have in the future. Because again, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. We said that from the start, because it's from the heart. So we do it, and we know there's that energy and there's that connection. And now with Pete too, he brings such an awesome, I say to my wife, that Brooklyn energy. And she always says that's one thing she's always said about Pete, and he knows behind the scenes. He's so cute. You know, everybody loves him. Because he is. He's like that guy you just want to hug him. You know, even I do. I'm laughing now. And again, he'll be up here before the summer's done. I can't believe it's August 1st tomorrow, but Jay will too. We'll get together.
I was just thinking about that too. But you know, I tell you, I'm looking forward to growth. Whether it comes even more whether it comes faster, whether it's, you know, stays on an incline. I want to reach more people. I want people to hear what we're saying and share experiences. And, you know, the more we bring together, the better things are going to be, and the faster we can work out there to get what we're going for. You know,
right.
Benefits everybody. You know.
Yeah, and we've said before too, we're not always, just certain personalities don't always mesh, but in the end, we're all going to be high-fiving when this is over. It's like, when this is over, we'll all be sipping that champagne, and no one will have any beef. Because if that's where we get to, no one's going to care. It's about the kids, and we get it. You know, it's like at the end of Rocky Balboa, when Rocky's over Adrian's going to say, "Yo, Adrian, we did it." And it was about that peace of mind. He won that internal war. He won that war. We did it. No one was around. We did it. We're going to all say that together. Yo.
Exactly. And I read a story, a very good story for me, because I grew up being a Chicago Bulls fan. So being a Chicago Bulls fan, when we got Dennis Rodman, I was like, yeah. But then later on, we come to find out that Dennis Rodman and Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen didn't really get along off the court. They didn't really even talk. And it doesn't matter. Like, if you don't like someone, okay, then you just separate from them, and hopefully, you know, we'll meet at the finish line. That is what it is, you know?
Well, yeah, and you've got a good point, too. And I think those men, too, were heightened enough to go, some people think, too, that you always have to be best friends. And if not, we have that, oh, my God, you don't always, and people think, too, even Jay and Pete and I are fortunate because we are good friends, but that doesn't mean, even like this week, we didn't have a ton of communication. We were all both very busy. And we come together, hey, how you guys doing? Love you guys, man. You guys, are you okay? You need anything? Other than that, we were very engrossed in our own things. But so again, I think you brought up a good point too. Is they understood, and I think with Pippen too. You know, I think a lot of people know Pippen a lot of times lived in Jordan's shadow, but I think that's what motivated him, because he never believed that. He and in a lot of levels. You know, on most levels, he would have been the one that was really noticed more. But he accepted that. He accepted that role for the greater good. All those championships.
Right.
You have to eat it sometimes. And as Mark said, you have to sometimes be subservient in some ways. And Pippen recognized that. Hey, we want to get to that trophy at the end of the year, there's certain things I got to let this go. And they allowed each other to be each other. The Worm had his, as you mentioned, Dennis Rodman, the green hair. Sometimes they'd get pissed when he'd kick reporters in the nuts when he fell down on his butt. But that was part of the allure of the Chicago Bulls. They were somewhat Hollywood in that way. You wanted to see what they were going to do. You wanted to see what the Worm was going to do or say, or how many times Jordan was going to make you go, oh my God, how did he even do that? How do you stay up so long?
That's exactly right.
Passes by Pippen, and this is the way it came together.
Yep, and then that's a lot of what we see in this movement, isn't it? We're like, oh my gosh, Mark is at the Capitol. Oh wow, you know, and it's that same allure.
Yeah, it is, Jay, and it's funny because we do see that a lot with people that we know. Like, oh my God, so and so's here, or as we mentioned too, Jesse West, who we love. Jesse, we love you, brother. Yeah. And he had it in the Slider event that he had, I believe, second annual that Dad Stand too, and it seemed like it was pretty successful, and he was very thankful, and I know it helped people and empowered, and it was about networking, and what a great thing. And Jesse, I've never had the privilege of meeting Jesse, but anyone that I talked to that went to Washington, I can remember mentioning him personally, and so what a great guy. Very good energy. Pete said too, and Jay. You guys go, wow, really authentic. Seems like a really honest, genuine, awesome guy. And I see that a lot too from afar.
Mark's the type of guy that you meet, and he's just like he is on video, and he's just like that in person. There's no difference. And when you meet him and you talk to him for those few moments, because he's very, very busy, but you get that opportunity, you get a little photo with him or something for your memories. But he's the type of guy that he brings this all around where you want to help him. Like he just attracts that type of those type of things to him, that you want to help him because you could see the purity. You could see that he has a good heart. Yeah. You can see that, it's a beautiful feeling. I tell you the truth. A lot of people I met out there, it was a great feeling, but Mark especially, when I met him, like I said, there wasn't much time that we had together, on and off here and there quick. But I tell you, it made you want to do something for him. He's that type of person.
Right. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's the way people carry themselves, Jay. Mark's self-aware and confident enough. That's what I love about Mark. He'll go on the air like he did and say, I always think I look like such a dork. He's got that awesome innocence about him. Excuse me. And with his son, too, and with Levi, I know I would have loved to have him as a dad. Yeah. Because he's so honest. He's one of those ones, like, you could sit on his lap, and it'd be so comforting, and such a loving, honest dad. And again, as alpha as I am, and people would be surprised, I'm a very, very nurturing man to my family, and that's why I do get annoyed. Some people actually believe that men are not nurturing innately. I think that especially Masons would greatly disagree. I'm very loving with my boys. I'm very kissing. I kiss them. I nurture them. I hug them. I snuggle with them. I let them know how important they are and that they can do that with me. And I'm very vocal. I'm proud of that I am very vocal. Sometimes it doesn't, even Mason now, I love the guy. I get it because I love my boys. He'll say to me, Dad, I know. And I love it now because he does give me the little bit of tune in that way, but in a great way. He'll do it. And I love that because I drill that self-confidence in him. I'll say, get over here. Come here. Give me a kiss. Come here. Give me a hug, buddy. I love you. Oh, you know how much I love you. Thank you for being born. The things, instead of victimizing myself in the past and saying, I wish I had a dad. I wish I had a mom. I said, you know what? I'm going to actually be the best dad. Yep. And that doesn't mean giving my kids everything, being that honest dad, but the dad I should have had in the sense, I had a great stepdad, God rest his soul, passed away, Gordon Baker, as you guys know, in 2010. He was a wonderful man. But my point is, he wasn't very vocal. He wasn't like me. He got a kick out of me. But I wanted that. So instead of saying, oh, I never had that, woe is me, I said, I'm going to be that. I'm going to be that. And so I have that. My kids know how honest I am and how loving I am. And I put it out there because I've danced with the devil in the sense of been on death's door. I've had that enlightenment, that epiphany where I know what the deal is with this life and what's important. So I let my wife know all the time, baby, thank you for being born. Thank you for coming into my life and blessing it. Thank you. You're so beautiful. every day I tell her, you're so beautiful, and my boys, you're so beautiful, Mason. Thank you, you know. And when Carter, I say, man, when you were born, I was reborn, you know, and thank you. And I tell everybody that comes into my life, you know, whether it's people think it's a bad experience, I'm appreciative of everybody because everybody's helped me, everybody, and you got to look at it that way, guys.
Yep, absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah, 100%, definitely. And we're getting to the last part of our show. Obviously, this is the depressing part of our show.
Yes.
And so we like to go ahead and get into our shout outs. I'm going to switch things back up a little bit again. Mr. Bud Veno.
Oh, Jay threw me off. See, I put my paper. He said, Jay and Pete, try and catch me at least once a show. Awesome, Jay. July 31st, 2018, to my brother from another mother, Jay Money Mawson, right alongside, as always, Pete, the real deal McNeil. To everybody out there, I want to say Mike from DC Towing. Thank you, Mike. It was great meeting you yesterday, and speaking with you was awesome. He's a great dude. Have faith, brother. To Jamie Bixby, that's somebody who friended me and actually reached out and said thanks for your time. Said, I believe Jamie said Mr. Veno. No, it's Bud. Again, Tyler Brady out there, a.k.a. Cooley. Love you, Tyler. Patrick Thursday again. He's waved a few times again. Mark Ludwig, Ruth Nicols out there. Thank you again for joining us. It was an honor, Ruth and Mark, as always. It was a privilege. Everett at Ippolito's Furniture and everybody in Ippolito's Furniture family in Meredith, New Hampshire. Chip, Chris, Sam, everybody else there. I'll say this: it was such an act of kindness by that company, and Everett at Ippolito's too. I thank you, folks, I was overwhelmed with your generosity and what you guys did. Amazing, thank you. Much love to you guys out there. To my mother-in-law Phyllis, I love you again. Thanks for the conversation. I look forward to many more. Again, to my brothers Pete, the real deal McNeil, Jay Money Moss, love you for 2 years. Going to be whenever we decide to stop, which won't be for a long time. To my little asbestos Mason, I love you, pal. He's looking right at me from the floor, waiting for me to get done to snuggle with me. And to my wife out there, I love you, baby. Thank you for being born. I can't wait till this is done and we can snuggle and laugh. Kevin Moran, my brother, everybody at my BBC, Aaron, Himalaya Roberts, John Mondu, everybody out there, I love you. To the men and women out there and the children, keep fighting. Keep your chin up. It's not over till you say it's over. And I didn't hear a bell, but I did hear a
hey, get the
woo, a whip.
All right.
I wasn't holding my drink this time. I was smart.
All right, Pete McNeil.
All right. First of all, to our guests, Ruth and Mark, thank you for being on tonight. Hey, Ruth and Mark, my family. I know they're starting to actually watch the show now, and my niece and my nephew and stuff like that. So shout out to my niece and nephew. My one and only, my boy, my son, unfortunately he doesn't watch the show, and that's okay, you know what I mean? But this is Daddy's video diary for the future. So I love you very much, buddy, and always keep your head up. To Money Morse and my man Bud Veno, my other family, couldn't be here what I am today without you guys and all the help that you've given me. To Richie and Michelle, they're always watching the show. They don't have parental issues, but they love watching the show. So thank you for watching. I appreciate that. And I want to mention one thing for everybody that watches the show and follows us. We just updated our Far From Normal page on Facebook. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram. We're now on Instagram. And again, we revised the Far From Normal page. We also added in all the links and everything. So now it'll be easier to follow us. And pretty much that's it. Everybody keep their head up, stay positive, stay strong, and keep fighting and never surrender.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And he's going to get the car horn.
The car horn. He's got the horn.
City.
Awesome stuff out there. We want to definitely thank Ruth Nicols for coming on. Obviously, Mark Ludwig for all he's doing out there. Again, I want to say our condolences out there to Kimmy Bailey and her family. Obviously, keep them in your thoughts and prayers. We're definitely with you. And anything that you need, let us know here at the Far From Normal Radio Show. We'd be happy to get in contact and help any way that we possibly can. Those out there, also, big shout out to a long time ago, we had a guest who's doing documentaries as well. with the Racing Families, Ginger Gentile. I'll be in contact with her just a little bit later, obviously. Ginger Gentile's definitely working out there doing some great stuff. We'll definitely get back in contact with her and get that in the future. And I'm telling you, when I say that there's going to be big guests on, I'm not kidding with you. It's just I have to have them concreted. Honestly, the day that I got the letter from John's agent, John Schneider's agent, honestly, we flipped out, and I sent the letter directly to Bud first thing and Pete, and we were all excited. But until I have a date, I cannot put it in stone and announce that so-and-so is going to be on, and because that's not fair.
And Jay's paranoia in that has served us well. Again, we've been doing this long enough to where Jay is like, until it's like quadruple confirmed, he's great like that, because he doesn't want to also give people certain false hopes. It ruins the show's credibility too. So we never make that announcement until we're ready for people to get excited about it. So they can get excited and they can go, wow, this is cool. We don't want to break promises, and we don't and won't do that.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So those out there that are doing some amazing work, and you know who you are, and I don't have to mention your names because you don't want any glory or satisfaction out of helping people, but thank you so much for those who are. Those are who are out there and are maybe giving misleading information. That something's coming down the pipe for you, and I can't announce it yet, but it is what it is.
Haters are just simply confused admirers, nothing more, nothing less, folks. Just take it like
well said, definitely. So as we sign off tonight, and you hear this song that we play every week and we have for a while now that's called Heroes. Oh yeah, big shout out here to the bumper stickers. We're going to get those out here very soon and very shortly as well. The Far From Normal Radio Show bumper stickers, awesome. We're going to get those out very, very shortly as well. Get some more printed, and we'll be right out there with those as soon as we can. So take a look, because those are going to be awesome and be on every vehicle out there very, very shortly. Awesome. So definitely want to give a big shout out to RD out there and what he's doing, so that we don't have to mess with anything. So it is what it is, and we're going to drive home. So as we say every week, also I want to tell you this here again. The song that we play at the end of our broadcast every week, I'm going to get back to this because they distracted me here. The song that we play every single week at the end of our broadcast, that song definitely, it talks about heroes, right? And it shows all of our past guests, and it shows, all of the things that kind of maybe we've accomplished, or, in the not too distant future, or not too distant past, excuse me. We want you to understand this, though, about this song. You are a hero to your boy and girl out there. You are the hero that we're talking about in this song. So always understand that when we say heroes, you're the hero. You're the real hero out there. So as we say, yeah, exactly. So as we say every single week, signing off the broadcast, you are important, you are loved, and you are cared about. God bless.
Chins up. Yeah.
I'm walking alone, the streets empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. my mind.